I think everybody in the world now can feel the power of these large multinational corporations. Many of these companies are much more powerful than even governments.
Developers.
Seven.
The first world.
6.
We are 20% of the people of the world. And yet we are consuming 80% of the world's resources. This level of consumption is simply not sustainable. If we continue to consume at this current rate, then eventually I think we're going to hit the wall.
5.
If we are so stupid that we don't listen
4.
to the early warning signals that the planet is sending us.
3.
But it's going to be a terrible time in history that may take hundreds of years before the planet heals again.
2.
Developers. Yes.
There'll be a global economic collapse.
1.
There'll be a global economic collapse.
0. Ignition. Liftoff. 30 minutes after the hour.
The modern corporation has grown out of the industrial age. The industrial age began in 1712 when an Englishman named Thomas Newcomen invented a steam-driven pump to pump water out of the English coal mines so the English coal miners could get it more coal to mine rather than hauling buckets of water out of the mine. It was all about productivity, more coal per man hour. That was the dawn of the industrial age, and then it became more steel per man hour, more textiles per man hour, more automobiles per man hour, and today it's more chips per man hour, more gizmos per man hour. The system is basically the same, producing more sophisticated products today.
30-second television spot is, I think, the most powerful piece of communication that human beings have ever come up with. You are sitting there in your chair, passive, nothing to say, and outside there's some smart people who are producing fantastic television shows and commercials. And they are the powerful producers of information and producers of meaning. And you are the passive consumer of that meaning. And that meaning isn't even good meaning, it's mostly propaganda for the consumer culture. And then you think that
the goal for the corporations is to maximize profit and market share, and they also have a goal for their target, namely the population. Now, they have to be turned into completely mindless consumers of goods that they do not want. You have to develop what are called created wants. So you have to create wants. You have to impose on people what's called a philosophy of futility.
Calling for a new ethic.
Corporate property is the most obvious legitimate target in my view. Banks, expensive stores, chains like Starbucks and so forth. People understand that as part of the global system, part of this encroaching, standardized, destructive form that is wiping out all differences, all freedom. Property damage, property damage, property destruction, property damage, property damage, property destruction, property damage, property damage, property destruction, property damage, property destruction.
Você vai levando, porrada, porrada. Até quando vai ficar sem fazer nada? Até quando você vai levando, porrada, porrada. Até quando vai ser saco de pancada? Até quando você vai levando, porrada, porrada. Até quando vai ficar sem fazer nada? Até quando